Agents assume if they're struggling, the problem must be that they aren't doing enough. I need more hustle, more motivation, more tactic, more scripts. Today, I want to show you what insurance feeling harder actually reveals about your business. And then how are we going to fix it? Let me ask you something that most people won't say out loud. Why does insurance feel harder than it should be? I mean, you've passed the exam, you've learned the products, you've followed the scripts, you are doing the work, and yet it still feels heavier than it should. More complicated than it needs to be, or even more draining than you expected. So now if that's you, I want you to hear this clearly at the start of this episode. You're not broken, you're not behind, and you are definitely not failing. What you're feeling is information overload. I have literally worked with insurance agents at every stage of their career, whether they're brand new agents full of enthusiasm, seasoned producers with strong books, even top performers who look successful from the outside. The most common sentence I hear from all of them is this: I don't understand why this feels so freaking hard. Not hard because of the lack of effort, hard because of the friction, or hard because every win feels it just feels temporary. Hard because every month feels like starting over. Hard because there's no sense of control or momentum. That draining feeling doesn't come from insurance being complicated or from you being incapable. It actually comes from the business and the way that it's being built. So in other words, the structure or the lack thereof is creating that friction. When things feel hard, it's easy to fall into a false belief of insurance is hard because I need more hustle, motivation, tactics, scripts. Many agents assume if they're struggling, the problem must be that they aren't doing enough. So what do? Double down on effort and quick fixes. Join another agency, a different environment will magically make it easier. Or they'll switch carriers, thinking maybe a new product line or company will change the way that they do things. They'll download another script, chasing the perfect words that will close every sale. They can even binge watch another training or motivational video looking for a secret sauce, but effort isn't the issue. You can hustle 24/7 and still feel like you're running in the mud. The issue is structure. Insurance feels hard when the business is built without alignment and proper foundations. No amount of raw effort can compensate for a fundamentally misaligned business strategy. Allow me to reframe this for you and reveal what I believe the real problem is. Insurance isn't a hard profession, it's a formal profession. It's a profession that thrives on structure, systems, and strategy. So if you think about other formal professions, let's talk medicine or law, you wouldn't try to run a hospital or a law firm in a completely ad hoc, informal way. Yet, many agents try to build their insurance career on pure improvisation and grind and hustle. So when a formal business is built informally, friction is inevitable. Most agents aren't struggling because they lack work ethic or talent. They have that. They're struggling because of structural misalignment. Specifically, they're often doing a few things, operating without ownership clarity. They're not knowing what they're ultimately building or who's really in charge of their growth. Serving without systems, and that's dangerous because you're doing everything manually, then you're reinventing the wheel for each and every client that you close. You could be producing without protection. This is going to cause you to work hard, but without safeguards or a long-term plan to show for it. That kind of imbalance creates instability, and instability always feels like stress. If every month you're essentially rebuilding your business from scratch, of course it feels hard. The problem isn't you or the insurance industry at large. The problem is the informal way the business might be set up. I want to share a quick story. I once sat with an agent, we're going to call her name Jane, right? I want to protect my people. She was producing constantly and she was doing real good on paper, and clients trusted her, referrals were coming in, policies were sticking, all external measures though. That's how she was doing it. And good, she was successful. But during one of our conversations, she said something that stopped me right in my tracks. She said, I feel like I'm working for my business instead of my business working for me. That one sentence told me everything. Although Jane was achieving results, she felt trapped by her business. So you might ask why? Because when a business lacks structure, the person becomes the system. She was holding everything together by sheer effort every single day, handling every detail, follow-up, service issue personally. And at the end of the day, people burn out faster than processes. So no matter how committed or energetic you are, you cannot outwork a broken framework forever. Jane had built success, but without the right structure, it became unstable and it became exhausting. And her experience is common and it's completely fixable once you recognize what's missing. This is where Insure Legacy sees things a little differently. We don't start with hyped up motivation or the latest sales gimmick. We're gonna start with clarity and structure because clarity dissolves confusion, and confusion is what makes insurance feel so hard in the first place. So there are 3 structural shifts that we'll focus on, and I want to outline them clearly just for you. So if insurance feels hard, it's because you don't know what you're building. I mean, you have to ask yourself honestly, what am I building here? Are you building a book of business, essentially a personal portfolio of clients and policies you manage alone? Are you building a business, an agency with a team, a brand, and systems that operate beyond just you? Or a brokerage, a ready platform, right? Something that's a scalable operation positioned to become your own brokerage or your own firm one day. Many agents work really hard every single day, but without a clear destination in mind. So they're selling policies without knowing if the end goal is to simply have a stable personal income to grow an agency, or to create an enterprise that could run without them one day. When you don't know where you're going, everything feels heavy. Every task is just a task, not a step toward a defined goal. Clarity gives effort direction. The moment you define whether you're building a book of business or you're just building a legacy platform, you can align your actions with that vision, and the weight of everything is so hard starts to become lighter because you can see clearly the path forward. If you don't have systems protecting you, then insurance definitely feels hard. So like if you find yourself constantly chasing every lead, repeating the same explanations to each client, handling every follow-up manually, your energy is being taxed unnecessarily. The reason I know is because I did it as well. And over time, what happens is this grind will make the simplest task feel overwhelming. And the truth is, you shouldn't have to personally reinvent the wheel with each prospect or policy. When you have well-designed systems like automated follow-up processes or prepared educational materials for clients, checklist, or a good CRM, you don't remove the human touch of your business, you protect it. So by automating and streamlining the repetitive, these non-special tasks free up your energy to focus on what really matters, and that's building relationships and providing expertise. When your business runs on systems, you wake up each and every day with supportive processes catching up the details instead of feeling like you have to muscle through every single thing yourself. Trust me, guys, I have been there. It is not fun. Get your systems going. We've covered 2 out of the 3. You gotta know what you're building, and you gotta have systems. Here's the third one, and it's important. You gotta understand what the vision is. And here's the hard truth. Participation feels heavy, but ownership feels purposeful. If you can't see the pathway beyond just grinding out policies month after month, eventually your motivation is gonna fade. Why? Not because you don't care, but because you're pouring your heart into building something you don't truly control. When all your effort only ever translate into the next month's quota, it's hard to feel a deeper sense of purpose. However, when you have an ownership mindset, when you're building toward owning your book of business outright, or growing equity in an agency, or creating a business that you direct, every policy you write carries extra meaning. You're not just participating in someone else's system, you're building your own asset. And that shift from participator to owner, I'm telling you, it's energizing. It turns day-to-day work into progress toward a bigger goal that you actually own, which makes the work lighter and more fulfilling and, quite frankly, fun. So these 3 shifts form the core structure of what we focus on at Insure Legacy: destination clarity, protective systems, and an ownership mindset. When those are in place, the hard work starts to feel more like purposeful work. Let's step back and look at you for a moment. You're not just an insurance agent. In reality, you are a professional. You've entered a profession that requires expertise, ethics, and consistent improvement. Wear that title with pride and behave like a professional that you are. You're a steward of trust because clients come to you to protect what matters most in their lives. You hold a position of trust and guidance, and that's a big deal. And it's an identity that carries respect. You're a builder of long-term stability because every policy you write, every client relationship you nurture is a building block for long-term financial security for your clients and for you. You're constructing something meaningful and lasting. You see, insurance is not meant to feel chaotic or like a never-ending hustle. It's meant to feel intentional and empowering. When your day-to-day feels chaotic, it's not a signal that you're in the wrong career or that you should quit. It's a signal that you need to rebuild the structure of your business around who you really are. and what you're really trying to accomplish. You have more control than you think. And by realigning with the fact that you are a professional with a purpose, you can start making changes so your business serves you and your clients way better. Here's the big insight I want you to take away with you. Insurance doesn't feel hard because the work itself is inherently difficult. It feels hard because so many people are trying to build a legacy business on top of a flimsy, informal foundation. So in other words, they're attempting to create a long-term, sustainable enterprise without the legacy infrastructure that such an enterprise needs. I want you to think of it like trying to build a skyscraper on a foundation designed for a house. Of course, every additional floor feels unstable. Once you establish clarity of purpose and you put solid systems in place and you integrate true ownership into your vision, the nature of the work is going to change. Once clarity is established and once systems are in place and once ownership becomes the goal, the work doesn't disappear, but the weight does. You still put in the effort, but it'll feel lighter, it'll feel more directed, and it'll feel more inherently rewarding because that stress lifts off because you know why you're doing and what you're doing, and each task creates a bigger picture. That's the difference between constantly scrambling uphill versus walking down a path with a clear destination. So look, you know your man Tony the Tycoon has to give you a call to action, and I know this message connected with many of you. So here's what I need you to do next. Don't go looking for another script. Don't chase another shiny tactic. Let's start with clarity. I want you to take a moment to define what you're really building and what you want your business to look like. And if you need help bringing structure to that vision, then visit insurelegacy.org and join the Purpose to Profit Challenge. Here you'll learn how we help professionals like you build insurance businesses that feel stable, structured, and sustainable. We focus on creating alignment in your business so that your hard work actually builds your legacy, not just someone else's. Because insurance isn't meant to exhaust you. It's meant to position you as a trusted professional and to provide a stable, fulfilling life for your clients as well as yourself. Never forget, you're always one lead away from your next level. Run well, young lions. In lionesses, Tony the Tycoon. I'm out.